Katerina thought she'd found the perfect guy to spend the rest of her life with, but it all came crashing down in an instant when she got home early and found another woman half naked in her kitchen. Katerina's 35, and her husband, Troy, is 36. The couple met through Katerina's friend, Sarah, in 2017, and they got married in 2020. Sarah had invited Katerina to a happy hour on a Friday afternoon, saying that some of her coworkers were going to join them, which sounded like fun to Katerina, so she went along, not expecting to meet her future husband that day. Troy was one of Sarah's coworkers, and once he'd introduced himself to Katerina, they hit it off right away, and the next day, Sarah called Katerina.
Hey, do you remember Troy from last night?
Yeah, sure. Why?
Well, he wants your number. Do you mind if I give it to him?
Of course not. He was pretty amazing. I'd like to get to know him more. What do you think about him? You've known him for much longer.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I think you guys would make a cute couple.
The following day, Troy called Katerina and asked her out to dinner. Since he offered to take her to her favorite restaurant, Katerina suspected that he and Sarah had spoken at length about her. After their date, Katerina and Troy practically spent every second together, went on a few vacations, and met each other's families. I mean, they fell completely in love. It was the perfect year for Katerina. 18 months into their relationship, Troy planned a trip to Mexico for them, and they'd be going with Sarah and her boyfriend, Mike.
This Sarah girl's giving me a suspicious vibe. Or am I just being silly?
I won't lie to you, I had the same feeling while reading this story. Anyway, while they were in Mexico, taking a stroll along the beach, Troy got down on one knee and proposed to Katerina. Immediately, she said yes and started jumping for joy. To say she was over the moon would be an understatement. They had 220 people attend their wedding, and for Katerina, life was feeling like a movie. After tying the knot, they tried to get pregnant for a year, but it didn't quite work out for them. But their marriage was perfect, so they were okay with it. Their life was great. They'd got themselves a brand new home and worked really hard so they could live to the fullest. Every year, they'd go on a few holidays, and in between all that, they'd enjoy weekend getaways. Katerina felt like the luckiest girl in the world as she had a great man by her side who was fully in love with her. Katerina's job had her traveling a handful of times a year, but Troy had no problem with it. They always talked at the end of the workday and before they fell asleep, so I guess from Katerina's viewpoint, she had nothing to worry about. Now, Troy had a birthday coming up, and Katerina had a surprise weekend getaway planned for the two of them. Because she wanted to keep it a secret, she didn't tell Troy that she'd be flying in early. Katerina had a car service drop her home, but when she got back, there was a strange car parked in the driveway. At the time, she really thought nothing of it, thinking that Troy was probably playing golf with a work friend. But to her surprise, when she entered the kitchen, there was a woman standing there wearing nothing but her panties. Katerina was in complete shock for about 10 seconds, but this mysterious girl broke the silence.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Where's Troy?
He's in the shower.
Well, it's time for you to leave.
After that, the girl nodded her head in agreement, went to Katerina's bedroom, grabbed her clothes, and left. As for Katerina, though, she sat on the couch in disbelief, not sure if she wanted to kill somebody or sit there and cry. Once the girl had left, Katerina made her way upstairs, only to see Troy come out of the shower, and obviously he was surprised to see her.
I don't know what's going on, but I know that we're over. I'll be filing for divorce, and there's no chance of saving us.
I am so sorry.
Unlike a lot of people on Reddit who get cheated on, Katerina wasn't messing around. She clearly explained to Troy that no matter what he said, nothing would change, and the fact that he brought another woman into their home was unforgivable. While she didn't want any of it to be true and wished it was all a nightmare, Katerina was done.
As it should be. I wish everyone reacted this way.
I mean, some people are able to survive an episode of cheating, but for a lot of people, it completely wrecks them and can do so for years if they stick with someone who ultimately never changes their ways.
So, what happened afterwards? What about the weekend trip Katerina had planned?
Well, she ended up going with Sarah, who was actually her rock throughout this whole thing. So you were wrong about her.
I was so convinced that she'd be the one to sleep with Troy. Gosh, maybe all these cheating stories have made me jaded. But who was the girl he slept with?
Sarah found out she was a bartender at his golf club, so who knows how long this had been going on for. In any case, the Monday after her getaway weekend with Sarah, Katerina got in touch with a divorce lawyer and met with him later that afternoon. To this day, though, Katerina doesn't know why Troy did what he did, and even talked about how they had a pretty active sex life, so he wouldn't have a reason to look anywhere else. To that, though, sometimes when a guy cheats, it's not because there's something lacking in his marriage, it's just because he wants something different, and there's nothing you can really do about that. If he isn't the type of guy who can control this urge, he may eventually give in to it, especially if he's the kind of guy who's attractive to women and doesn't have to put in a lot of work to get some action. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed today's video on coffee and popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.